Alright, what's up guys, got another video of what if Anakin Skywalker became a senator. So I started a Cash App if you want to donate. If you have a video idea you want to see, I'll try to make it into a short or video. So the Cash App will be linked down below. But if you like this type of content, then be sure to subscribe for more what-if/fanfics, lore, comics, reviews, video essays, and just all things Star Wars. But with all that out of the way, why don't we just dive right on in. So the story starts out after the events of the Phantom Menace. Anakin had just become the Padawan of Obi-Wan. He nearly left the Jedi Order on the whim of Palpatine, but he decided against it. He realized the Jedi's where he belonged, even if he felt like he didn't fit in. But it was that feeling of not fitting in that stuck with him. He felt like he was supposed to be with the Jedi, so that's what he thought. Even as a Jedi and becoming the Padawan of Obi-Wan, it felt like something was missing, like he could be doing more. He spoke to his master about it, and Obi-Wan told him that the Jedi weren't about becoming powerful in the Force, but being peacekeepers in the galaxy. With that advice, Anakin pondered even more, and his thoughts flowed from the Jedi to his home planet of Tatooine. He hated it there, the sand, the slavery, the miserable life he and his mother had to endure, and that got Anakin thinking about his mom even more. Here he was living it up as a Jedi, but Shmi was still stuck being a slave to Watto. Anakin in that moment realized that he wanted to free his mother. He talked to Obi-Wan again. Master, I've been having thoughts of my mother. I want to free her. Obi-Wan sighed. You face a struggle, my young Padawan. You are unlike any other Jedi, but even though attachments are forbidden, they can be both a blessing and a curse. Know that the Force works in mysterious ways, and in the end, your mother will be okay. Anakin frowned. Obi-Wan was basically telling him to wait. He thought about it and decided against it. Anakin that night snuck out of his room and into the Jedi hangar bay. He borrowed a cruiser. He would return it after he was done with it, and jumped in the cockpit. He launched into hyperspace towards Tatooine. Anakin eventually arrived and landed near Mos Espa. After landing, he jumped out for the first time in 4 years. Anakin felt the sand on his feet and the rising twin suns on his face. He traveled to Watto's shop, which just opened, and walked inside. Watto saw him and realized it was Anakin. Annie, is that you? The flying rat asked. Anakin scowled. Where is my mother? Watto responded, she was freed not too long ago by a moisture farmer. I think they're married now. Damn water boy stole my property. Anakin heard the last part, and Watto apologized, but Anakin left and realized his mom was free. He wanted to see her, but he also wanted to listen to Obi-Wan about the whole attachment thing, at least for now. Anakin decided to take a walk around Mos Espa and explore the city, but as the hours passed and the day grew longer, Anakin found himself disgusted. Everyone here was just trying to survive. No one was truly living. Well, no one except the rich, like the Hutts or other slave traders. Anakin wanted to help the people on the bottom, the slaves and rich, but also push the rich and powerful back in the right direction. He wanted to change this planet for the better. But maybe not just Tatooine, but for the entire Outer Rim. Anakin thought even more, then moved from the Outer Rim to the Mid-Rim and then to the Core. Anakin could change the entire galaxy, getting rid of the corrupt and truly push the entire galaxy into the right direction. But Skywalker pondered, was something like that even possible? Before one face came to mind, that being Palpatine, and the way to go about doing so was politics. Anakin would become a representative of Tatooine. He was going to become this rock's senator. He was going to lead them to the Republic. Easier said than done, though. The first major issue Skywalker realized was that the Outer Rim was controlled by the crime syndicates like the Hutts, the Pikes, and the Black Suns. But he thought about it, and Anakin came to the conclusion that if he wanted to save his home planet along with the rest of the galaxy, he would have to do things others might think is wrong. He would take out the leaders of the major crime syndicates and put himself into power over them, leading a collective while leading from the shadows. He would create a shadow collective, but all that right now was a pipe dream. He needed a political backer and someone to teach him the ropes, and Anakin thought about it and figured that Palpatine would be perfect for that role. The Chosen One couldn't do much else here, so he left Mos Espa and got back into his Star Cruiser and jumped into hyperspace towards Coruscant. Anakin snuck back into the Jedi Temple without anyone realizing he had even left. Anakin spent the next few days plotting his next move and decided to tell Palpatine everything. He walked into the Chancellor's office and sighed as Palpatine welcomed him in. Ah, young Skywalker, how can I help you? He asked. Anakin told him everything, and while Anakin was telling him, Skywalker couldn't see the smile that lay on Palpatine's face. The Sith Lord realized this was his chance. Anakin would become a senator while secretly being in control of the crime syndicates from the shadows. The Chosen One would think he's the one pulling the strings, but he wouldn't even know Palpatine would be the real puppet master. After Anakin finished, Palpatine spoke. I must say that is ambitious, my young friend. but I will help you with whatever you need. Anakin smiled and thanked Palpatine, and for the next several years until the events of Attack of the Clones, Anakin trained as a Jedi, but also put his plan into action. He learned much about the political landscape of the galaxy from Palpatine. But during this time, he struck against the crime syndicates. Palpatine pulled the strings to put Anakin into place, first with the Black Suns. A crew was created and they destroyed themselves from the inside out, with Anakin taking control and promising power. The Pikes were next, and after that, the Hutts. Anakin held a blade to Jabba the Hutt's throat in his sleep as he assassinated the criminal overlord. He finished off any other people that would take control, and by the age of 19, Anakin was in control of the major crime syndicates, and he had combined them together to form the Shadow Collective. But Anakin returned to Tatooine multiple times, and this is where he began his political career. He had visited his mother finally, and she was happy to see what he was doing with his life. He had learned much from Palpatine, though, throughout the last several years about politics, people, and how to manipulate the system to get what you want. Anakin thought this was all his doing, but Palpatine was planting the seeds that would turn him to the dark side and cause Skywalker to become his apprentice. Anakin took command of Tatooine and united the world into one government under him, and he would lead as senator. He kept the Shadow Collective in check, and they would be used as his personal army if need be. Anakin led Tatooine to join the Republic, and he was allowed to join the Senate as senator and representative of Tatooine. The Senate was having a meeting discussing poverty, and Anakin spoke up, telling them the Outer Rim needs the Republic. Corruption has grown out of control and needs to be snuffed out. He says that he grew up a slave and now he's a Jedi and the senator of his home planet, but now that's not enough. The Outer Rim and the rest of the galaxy needs to be pushed in the right direction. This put many senators on edge, but also gained the respect of many others. This is where Padme saw Anakin for the first time in 10 years, and she saw the man that he had become. He had changed so much from the boy that she met on Tatooine. Anakin saw her staring at him, and he smiled back, and this caused her to look away flustered. After the meeting, Padme was about to leave when Anakin caught up to her. They made small talk, but Anakin said it was good to see her after nearly a decade, and that they should catch up sometime. Padme smiled and agreed, but as the weeks passed, attempts were made on Padme's life, and Anakin and Obi-Wan were assigned to guard her. Obi-Wan would discover the clone army in Kamino and would track it to Geonosis, where he'd be kidnapped. Anakin and Padme would grow much closer than in the original timeline, bonding over their shared interest in politics and wanting to make the galaxy better. They would fall in love, and the events of Attack of the Clones would continue as normal, with the Clone Wars beginning. But during the Clone Wars, the galaxy would be thrown into chaos, and Anakin would despise every second of it. The future he had imagined for the galaxy was being threatened by the war between the Republic and Separatists. Anakin realized there must have been a mastermind behind all of this, and wondered who it could be, but one person that came to mind, and that it just made too much sense. Everything fit into place. Palpatine caused all of this, and Anakin realized it went even further, and that Palpatine must be the Sith Lord. The Chosen One was shocked. Everything weighed heavy on his mind. From his recent marriage to Padme, to getting a Padawan named Ahsoka, being a senator for his planet, leading the Shadow Collective, and the Jedi begrudgingly accepting the fact that he was a part of the Senate. Anakin wondered what his next move here would be. What was the right path to create a better galaxy? The Jedi, Sith, criminal underworld, or something else? Something that required order. Over the next 2.5 years, Anakin played the waiting game. The Jedi Council, although weary of Anakin being a senator, learned of the state of the Outer Rim from the slavery, crime syndicates, and everything else. Anakin brought it to the attention of the rest of the galaxy, and just like Tatooine, many other Outer Rim planets began to join the Republic with new senators, but there was one person Anakin met that would help him change everything: Thrawn. As soon as they met, the two understood one another and had a mutual respect for the other. Thrawn told Anakin of the Chiss ascendancy in the unknown regions, and Anakin told him that if he helped them, he promised that the new power in the galaxy would ally with his ascendancy. Thrawn agreed, and the two implemented their plan. Every Outer Rim senator secretly worked for Anakin, and Skywalker had essentially gained control of the entire Outer Rim and had a powerful ally in the unknown regions, and no one knew. Anakin sent puppets into the Republic and the CIS government. Whenever a Senate meeting would be held, he would sway the motion into his favor without anyone realizing. Anakin decided to change up his plans a bit when he learned Darth Maul was still alive. Maul had taken his brother Savage as his apprentice, and the two were wreaking havoc on Mandalore, but Anakin thought he could use the situation to kill 3 birds with 1 stone. Anakin made contact with the Zabrak brothers. "Hello, Maul. Been a long time," Anakin spoke. "Ah, the apprentice of Kenobi. I will enjoy gutting you," Maul responded. Anakin spoke back. "You could, but I can get you your former master." Maul stopped and pondered and smiled, and Anakin formed an alliance with Maul and Savage. Maul took control of Mandalore, but Palpatine was going to put an end to this. So when the Dark Lord of the Sith confronted the 2 brothers, he was surprised to see a 3rd Force user with them. The 3rd figure spoke. "I know it's you, Palpatine. Your reign is over." Palpatine looked shocked to hear Anakin's voice, but he simply cackled. "I see. Then if you will not join me, you will die alongside these dogs." The Sith Lord ignited 2 crimson sabers, and Maul and Savage ignited their sabers, with Anakin igniting his blue one. Palpatine launched forward towards Anakin, slamming both blades down onto him, but Skywalker blocked. Palpatine's speed was unimaginably fast. However, Maul and Savage jumped forward and swung down at both sides of the Sith Lord, but but Palpatine simply smiled as he blocked both strikes. He backflipped away and Maul and Palpatine engaged in a duel. The former apprentice fueled his aggression, which made him stronger, but not strong enough as Palpatine launched Force Lightning towards him with one arm and blocked an attack from Savage with the other. He used the Force to push Maul back and then Force choke Savage. But Palpatine was pushed back by Anakin against the wall, who ran towards him. Anakin and Savage engaged with Palpatine, with Jedi and Zabrak using their strength to try and overpower the Chancellor. But Palpatine simply dodged out of the way, and when Maul regained his composure and joined the fight, Palpatine leapt towards Maul, but used it as a feint and appeared in front of Savage while still facing Maul, and used his sabers to impale the Zabrak. Maul watched his brother die and launched towards Palpatine in anger. At this sight, Anakin smiled, and he too launched forward, and Anakin and Maul dueled Palpatine. This was the greatest duel in the galaxy, the Chosen One and failed Sith Apprentice versus the Dark Lord of the Sith, but Anakin caught Maul and Palpatine off guard when he cut off Maul's arm, which distracted Palpatine long enough for Anakin to jump forward and cut him in half. The Sith Lord fell dead, and Maul dropped in pain. He looked up and saw Anakin smiling. From the shadows out walked Obi-Wan Kenobi. Maul was shocked and realized he had been used, but couldn't utter a word as Obi-Wan struck him down. Anakin laughed, saying everything was coming together. Before the fight with Palpatine, Anakin secretly made contact with Obi-Wan. "Master, you've taught me well, but it's time we use our talents to save the ones we care about and the galaxy." Obi-Wan looked confused. "What are you getting at, Anakin?" The Chosen One smiled. "Join me, Master, and together we will wipe out the Sith, and you can save your beloved Satine." Kenobi was shocked. He couldn't believe what he was hearing, but he had no other choice as she was in danger. Anakin knew Maul planned to kill Satine to get at Obi-Wan, so he would bring his master to his side, thus bringing Mandalore to his side, all the while getting rid of Maul and Palpatine. After Obi-Wan killed Maul, he reunited with Satine and joined her as Satine gave him the Darksaber, so Obi-Wan now ruled Mandalore, which Anakin planned. Death Watch was quickly taken care of, and Anakin's plan was entering the final stage. With the disappearance of Palpatine, an emergency Senate meeting was held to determine who the next Chancellor would be. Anakin had many senators in his back pocket, as after Palpatine's death, he took control of the banking clans, and this was all to sway the vote into his favor. An election was held for the next Chancellor, and Padme Amidala was chosen, which Anakin planned to happen. With Padme as the face of the Republic, Anakin revealed their marriage, and they would become the power couple of the galaxy, the Chosen One of the Jedi, poster boy of the Clone Wars, hero and senator of the Republic, and husband of the new Chancellor. Anakin was being worshipped like a god, but Skywalker knew this wasn't over, as there were a few problems remaining, that being Dooku, the CIS, and the Jedi. After leaving the Order, Ahsoka wandered the galaxy until she was contacted by her master, who asked Ahsoka to join him and Obi-Wan. The Jedi had grown weary and suspicious of Anakin, especially Mace Windu, but during a council meeting, Anakin walked in with Ahsoka and Obi-Wan by his side, and he tossed a sack onto the floor. Mace Windu yelled, "Young Skywalker, what is the meaning of this?" The Master of the Order saw Ahsoka and Obi-Wan, who had both left the Order by his side. However, every council member looked at the sack and looked in shock as Palpatine's head rolled out. "I took care of your Sith Lord since, the whole Chosen One thing, and Dooku will soon be taken care of." Yoda grimaced. "Proven yourself, you have, young Skywalker. A master you shall be made." Anakin smiled. "I'm thankful, Master Yoda, but the Jedi are too close to the Senate. Your order will lead the Republic and never return, or there will be consequences." Ki-Adi-Mundi spoke up. "How dare you?" as he stood up, but before he could react, Obi-Wan had ignited the Darksaber, and Ahsoka her twin sabers against his throat. "The Jedi Order is hereby banished, never to return, and if anyone even sees a Jedi, your order will be destroyed." Anakin didn't want to use Order 66 to kill thousands, but he would if he must. Yoda and Mace understood he was being serious and realized they had no other choice. It was either leave or die. And within the next few weeks, the Jedi exited from the warfront and left Coruscant to travel to Ahch-To in the unknown regions. The entire Order relocated there and accepted the deal with Anakin to leave and never interfere with galactic affairs, and their little order can still practice the light. With the Jedi exiled, the only threats now were Dooku and the CIS, and Anakin launched a full frontal assault against every CIS planet and individual. With the combined power of the Republic, the Mandalorians, the Chiss Ascendancy, and the Shadow Collective, they invaded every CIS planet. Anakin personally led an assault against Sereno to put an end to Dooku. Anakin led the assault with the 501st and his starship, but the Republic and Chiss starships behind him. The CIS met with the Resistance, and a fierce battle above the atmosphere began. The 501st covered Anakin as he piloted his way through the battle. Anakin landed at Dooku's palace, and he saw Dooku walk out and ignite his Crimson Saber, along with General Grievous igniting his Force Sabers, but Anakin smiled as Obi-Wan landed his ship, jumping out with Ahsoka. They all ignited their lightsabers, and the battle began. Anakin launched towards Dooku, and the two began a fierce duel, while Grievous jumped forward, attacking Obi-Wan well, he used Form 3 to block with the Darksaber, with Ahsoka using her agility to attack Grievous while Obi-Wan would defend. The battle between Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, and Grievous was fierce, but it didn't last long. The droid general swung his blades violently as Ahsoka ducked under one but proceeded to cut 2 of his arms off, which distracted Grievous long enough for Obi-Wan to sprint forward and stab him through the chest with the Darksaber, ending the droid general. Anakin and Dooku fought all over the palace courtyard, jumping around, swinging, blocking. In lightsaber combat, Dooku was the greatest dueler Anakin had ever seen. As he shot Force Lightning, Anakin blocked it. He told Obi-Wan and Ahsoka to stay back, as this was his fight. He felt his power growing. He knew he would win. He sprinted forward and jumped over Dooku, kicking him in the back of his head. The Sith fell forward and Anakin stole his lightsaber, holding both his and Dooku's blade to the old Force user's throat, and then proceeded to decapitate him. At the same time, the Republic, the Chiss, the Mandalorians, and the Shadow Collective ended the CIS with the deaths of the Separatist Council and shutting down the production of every major droid factory. With no army or leaders, the CIS surrendered and rejoined the Republic. In time, nearly every civilized system in the galaxy joined the Republic, and a new era began, one of peace and prosperity without war. Obi-Wan returned to Mandalore to rule alongside Satine, with Ahsoka going with Thrawn back to the Chiss ascendancy so she could explore the unknown regions. The Jedi remained in exile in Ahch-To and would continue to do so for centuries to come. Padme would become pregnant and would give birth to twins, who she and Anakin would name Luke and Leia. Padme would serve an indefinite term as Chancellor, with Anakin as Tatooine Senator and her personal representative. Padme would lead from the public and Anakin would lead and control from the shadows, and in time, Luke and Leia would be trained just like their father and learn politics from both their parents. Leia would replace her mother as Chancellor, and Luke would become the next Shadow of the Galaxy, just like his father. Anakin and Padme would retire from politics and relocate to Naboo, where they would spend the rest of their days in peace, watching a galaxy without war and filled with hope for the future. Alright, and that's the story, so definitely an interesting one, I gotta say the least. So I can see Anakin, like, if he returned to Tatooine as a kid and realized his mom was free, that if he walked around he would realize that the Outer Rim is kind of fucked and filled with just a bunch of pieces of shit, and like the crime syndicate, slavery, and it's just kind of bad, since, you know, the Jedi and Republic have kind of neglected it. And I wanted to use that to thrust Anakin into becoming a senator, which I always thought was kind of cool, and, you know, him meeting Padme that way. But one thing is, I wanted Anakin to become like a manipulator type of character, and I feel that this story would lead to that. Like, I like the idea of the character who's always 3 steps ahead of everyone else, like an Aizen or a Lelouch, and I wanted Anakin to be that in the story, and I feel like it was a pretty decent job. Overall, I had fun writing this, so let me know down below what other videos you want to see. If you like this video, then be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Go check out the Cash App if you want to donate. I'll make it into a short or a video. Go check out the other channels, which will all be linked down below. But with all that out of the way, I will see you all in the next video. Peace.